Hey guys, it's me again, Orchler. Where we last left off? Let's see, checking. Deku just got finished with his mission about protecting Momo for around 9 months. In that time, I'll go into a bit more detail, because I couldn't think of anything right there on the spot. So, as he's thinking about as he's traveling back home, he's like, they did a lot of fun things. They went out, hung at the arcade, sat down and watched a few of those movies by some guy called Johnny Cage. Oh, what was that one? Ninja Mime? The movies are dumb, but they're pretty funny at times, I'll give him that. But he reminisces on the fact that it was nice to live a somewhat normal childhood. Because now he's just been, since, the entire time he's just been killing and such, sent on assassinations and brutal training. He reminisces on the fact that it was nice to have a normal childhood. Just sit down, watch movies, have dinner and such. He almost lost himself to the whole idea that he was not just a bodyguard. He thinks to himself, that sounds dumb, but makes sense in some way. As he finally returns all the way home, he's welcomed back with open arms. Before he left, he was given a suitcase with the rest of the money in it. Now, with him traveling back home, he brings it before the Grandmaster, saying his mission was complete. The Grandmaster being quite confused about this, saying that, I thought it was supposed to be for a year that you left. And Deku goes on to explain what actually happened. The Grandmaster understanding and saying that he was told to come back by his employer, so the contract's done, I guess. So as he gives them money and returns home, bringing some things. He's got a few, like a plush or two from going to the arcades with Momo and such, having them on his rack as a trophy, and they look weird with the knives, the skull, some armor and such. And then there's just the plushes. Him remembering and having a good feeling about it. Well, I continue on with life. As he's back for only about a week before he's called upon again to go and answer another mission. It is a mission that he's being hired to do by, what's his name? Just Trimmer, the Black Dragon, from one of the Black Dragons. Yeah, there's two groups, the Red Dragons and the Black Dragons. The Red Dragons and Black Dragons are sort of rivals, similar to the Lin Kuei and Shirai Ryu. So, as Trimmer has called upon him that he needs him to protect a shipment of weapons and to watch over a deal just in case the thing goes, south. As Deku is, sent out to deal with this, he meets with Trimmer. Trimmer saying that this is the Shirai Ryu sent. You are nothing. You look no older than a boy. He's like, we are trained killers from birth, Trimmer. Now, where do you need me for this operation? It's just hide in the shadows and be on watch, just in case they try to pull anything. As Trimmer goes about making sure the whole deal doesn't go at all bad. This is a pretty powerful gang that they're dealing with. Giving them over $100,000 for all these guns and ammo. Quite a lot. Some of them looking over the weapons. There isn't any ammo in them. This is because he's if they just in case they do try and turn the guns on them, keep the ammo separate. keep the ammo in their boxes. Don't fill the clips or anything. As the deal is going off and such, that's when door kicks down and a wall blows up with some of the Red Dragon coming in, with them all relatively confused and such about what's going on. Several people are instantly taken down by the gunfire. Deku rushing in and picking people off with his sword and his kunai, as well as fireballs. Just going around and killing people who come in. This is a pretty decent battle. Trimmer using his quirk, which is earth manipulation, throwing large size rocks and everything. He even throws a bit of magma, throws some crystals, because he can like manipulate things from earth, so I guess that includes crystals, magma, earth, rocks, and just such. So as he's throwing these things around, Deku's just cutting people to ribbons. As the Red Dragons have been pushed back very quickly because of the quick work of Trimmer and Deku, they cut them down quickly and efficiently. With the deal continuing on forward, with the guns being transported to the side, and Trimmer them getting their money. Trimmer sort of congratulating Deku on his quick acting, his quick thinking and act to like stop the operation from going completely south. Deku saying that if that is all, he'll be leaving. He will be leaving. Oh. As he's paid the money, as the money is finally transferred to Shirai Ryu, and Deku leaves for the home of Shirai Ryu. As this is happening, well, when he finally returns home, it's another month later. So now he is 16, I believe so. No, he should be 16. Yeah. This happening, everything was calm. It was just a nice, calm day, nothing bad happening. That's when the Lin Kuei attacked. Just out of nowhere, it was just explosions, gunfire, and ice blast. This assault is being led by Sector and Sub-Zero. Now, like the rest of the Lin Kuei, are not known about this. Shirai Ryu are a much smaller clan now, since they really haven't been as open with recruiting people. They've tried to keep it like within the clan. But since the Lin Kuei can more or less go out, have multiple people have multiple families and such, they have a much larger people to pull from. So as they're all being taken, everyone's on the kill list for the for the Lin Kuei. They're killing women, children, old people. As the Shirai Ryu warriors, and some good ones have been sent out on jobs, they are trying to fight back. But with this complete surprise attack and Sector's missile rockets and such, they're able to like disperse and cause anarchy. The Lin Kuei soldiers just rushing in and slicing down anyone. Deku and Hisashi, after like hearing these and seeing these explosions, Deku goes to his room to grab his equipment. His father telling him to take him, his brother and his mother to the fire gardens, that they should be protected there, and that the Grandmaster's personal house is there. With his father like organizing what resistance he can and going to fight the Lin Kuei. He does a pretty good job. He cuts down several Lin Kuei soldiers and defeats Cyrax in one-on-one combat. He fights him he's like, Sector. As Sector tries to use his flamethrowers, Hisashi just uses his fire breath to counter it. Using his rope spear to try and hook Sector in the leg, but Sector dodging, rushing forward and punching him in the face. As these two enter a martial arts fight, with Shirai Ryu killing as much Lin Kuei as they can, but in turn they themselves are being killed quite a lot, with Sub-Zero just freezing entire houses and slicing down women and children, as like I said. As Deku is trying to get his family away, his father manages to get away from Sector as the buildings and such are burning in the background. The fire gardens have been set ablaze. They're trying to figure out what to do. Deku is separated when they're like walking across a higher up level, as then an explosion happens as he sort of tosses his brother and mother across farther ahead, then getting blown up and sent into a building as he crashes through a window. As he shakes off this concussion, he's like, "Oh, what happened?" As he gets up and gets down to a lower level, he's somewhat panicking. He thinks of trying to go after his mother and such, but he's like, they're on a higher level. They should have formed the resistance by now. So as Deku runs off to go and try to help people, he saves a few people, like a few women and children and a few elderly. It's like, keep moving to the upper levels. As he's cutting through Lin Kuei's soldiers, as two of them try rushing him, he dodges. He sort of slides, cutting off both their legs and then stabbing them in the back with his two swords, blasting a few more with fire and just going quickly about it. Using his rope spear, he even at one point uses his rope spear. It goes straight through someone. He just starts spinning and spins with the corpse and just hits several Lin Kuei soldiers, sending many of them flying. As he's just rushing through this, trying to help them. And then he sees the bridge he can use to get across. But before he gets there, Sector appears. He's like, "Today is the day your clan dies, Bonfire." As then they come to blows, Deku using his his flame core to use his advantage, teleporting and kicking and slashing where he can. Sector using his flamethrower and trying to burn Deku. But he quickly learns Deku's pretty much completely immune to fire. As Deku at one point kicks Sector as he's turned around, he sees the massive gas tanks on his back. He takes some fire, attaches it to his rope spear, and blows Sector up by hitting those, and Sector is severely burned, losing several of his limbs. As he's just dead there on the ground, Deku's about to finish him off, when Deku sees his father fighting Sub-Zero. As his father is trying to fend off Sub-Zero, Sub-Zero gets a cheap move off as he kicks him in his leg, kicks him right in where the sun don't shine, taking a page from Johnny Cage, freezing his chest, breaking him in half, snapping the spine, and then just ripping him in half. After Deku just sees his brutality, he rushes Sub-Zero, fighting him. As they just start fighting everywhere, Fire Blast, Ice Blast, Sub-Zero making use of his cryomancy with giant sledgehammers and Ice Burst, with Deku using his fire to just cut straight through these barriers of frost and melt his weaponry as he throws him across, onto the bridge. As Deku and Sub-Zero are fighting, Sub-Zero is being pushed back bit by bit. Out of nowhere, Deku just gets hit in the back with several arrows. As he just tries to use his fire attacks to throw them off him, Sub-Zero then impales him straight to the chest with his ice sword. He's like, "You did well, Shirai Ryu, but now is where you die." As he picks him up sort of and hovers him over the bridge, which is a sheer drop of 50 feet into a river. Deku's he's like, "Any last words?" As he rips off the face mask, "Any last words?" Deku's like, "Yeah." and just like lets out a giant blast of fire right into his face, causing Sub-Zero to go blind. As he just then rips the sword out and kicking Deku off, as Deku falls straight down by 50 feet and just crashes into the water. Now to cut back to his family, Sub-Zero's like, "Get Sector out of here," as he's rubbing his eyes. He can't see, he's like, "Someone help me, and find the rest of the Shirai Ryu and kill them," as he's like, trying to see if he can regain his sight, but he can't. As Sector is then taken away, and then the rest of Shirai Ryu are killed off, with several of the remaining Shirai Ryu trying to form some form of defense, but they're just cut down along with the women and children. One of the final ones being Deku's little brother, as he's fighting against Shirai Ryu and just giving some of them a trouble, but as he's just cut down. Same thing with his mother. The Grandmaster is the last one to remain, as he puts some of his skill to use, taking down several of them. Eventually just being overwhelmed, and due to his old age, he can't fight as long. So he's just overwhelmed and eventually impaled. The village then being set ablaze. And Deku's just floating down the river. As he's floating down the river, he's just like, just hearing death call to him. Feeling the cold start to seep in, and almost accepting his fate. But then he realizes, then he's just like, no, as a fire set inside him. Screaming out no as he rushes to the surface, bleeding heavily. The arrows are still in his back, as he manages to climb onto the shore of the river, having to sit up. He then proceeds to try his best, but he rips out the arrows in his back. As he crawls onto the land, he then cauterizes his wounds, the sword and the arrows in the back. He's then limping his way, slowly but surely, and he's miles away from the village and such. As he takes him like few days to return there, as he returns to his home. Just all of it's burned to the ground. The fire gardens are ashes. He finds his father's body and pays his respects. And sees where he had blown up Sector. And then walking over the bridge where he was tossed off, and he blinded Sub-Zero. He's crossing the bridge and just looking at everything, hobbling along the way. As he gets to the Grandmaster's thing, just hoping and praying that somehow they lived. His hopes were instantly dashed when he saw all the bodies. Cut down like pieces of grass when it was mowing time. No remorse, no mercy, just utter and brutal killing. As Deku has his time to cry to himself, and then he makes this an oath of vengeance that he will hunt down and kill every single Lin Kuei that was part of this attack, and any of them who agreed to it. Because he had come to understand that something Scorpion did not. Not all the Lin Kuei probably wanted this. Because he even knows that the Lin Kuei have their own principles, no killing women and children and such, similar to Shirai Ryu. That is the same thing that each of them shared, is that those are the jobs they will not take. The fact that this other brutality and mercilessness went on, he can tell that not everyone would have agreed to this. Probably a large portion, but not everyone. As we skip to Sector and Sub-Zero. As Sub-Zero is brought before the Grandmaster, stating that, "Why did you do it? We told you not to." It's like, The Shirai Ryu have been dealing with criminals the entire time. The only way to make sure they don't do anything is to, as the Grandmaster shouts, that this was not about upholding justice and executing the law. This was about petty and personal revenge and breaking the values that the Shirai Ryu and the Lin Kuei both held dear, that they do not kill women and children, and that he will be punished and sentenced to prison when the time comes. At this point, Sector's going under severe surgery to just try and save his life. He just got Darth Vadered. When several science medical professionals hear this, several of them saying there's probably nothing we can do, that he's going to have to be retired from being a hero. And Sector was a hero. He did train in the hero school and such, so. As another one approaches him who's been pushing the idea of cyborgs and such. He's made some successes with like minor enhancements, like giving people back their legs, back their spines, but he has not yet had the pleasure or the opportunity to work on someone as badly damaged as Sector, offering up his own ideas on how to help him, that he could give him complete and then even enhance his abilities. The Grandmaster agreeing to this, as then Sector is now finally turned into his cyborg form. When he wakes up, he's like, "What is this?" As he's looking at his arms, it's like, "What have you done to me?" As he reaches out and grabs the doctor's arm, he's like, calm down. Letting with the robotic voice, "What have you done to me? Why am I like this?" As the Grandmaster tells Sector to stop. That because of their arrogance and violation of their things, this had happened to him because of his foolishness and prideful arrogance, thinking that attacking the Shirai Ryu would not go without cost. They lost several of their brothers and sisters, as well as Sub-Zero lost his sight and you pretty much lost your body. That this will be your punishment and a reminder that your foolishness caused this. As he walks away, Sector being angered by this, just sitting there moping around for a bit. Tundra and Smoke are... not Smoke. Tundra is downright appalled at what his brother did, hoping that he would just... eventually his anger would disappear, but... except of disappearing, it just began to fester, as it just slowly infected every portion of him, even to the point that it infected Sector, several others. Cyrax didn't agree with this. Smoke, the Grandmaster, several higher-ups. But the same could be said for others. Sub-Zero, Sector, and several other higher-ups agreed with the fact that it needed to be done. Finally end this competition, as some of their motives are all mixed back. Some of them just hate the Shirai Ryu for being their long-arch enemies. Others hated them because they had lost friends to them, and others just thought it would be better to just kill them so that way they could have full control over the assassination business and such. As Deku has finally, after just sitting there for burying everyone he could find, their bodies, he makes an oath of vengeance, swearing by his blood that, like I said, he'll hunt down every single last one of the Lin Kuei involved with this. As he then returns to his father's place, as he goes down into the basement, where his father once showed him his armor that he had prepared for Deku, that was very similar to his. And as the vengeance for the Shirai Ryu, he will take up codename Scorpion, for he is the last Shirai Ryu as far as he knows, and thus by default he is the best Shirai Ryu. As he finally takes up his armor and puts it on, it's kind of big at the moment, so we'll probably have to wait a little bit, but it will work for now. As a whole year passes, they are now 17. Deku can properly fit into the armor, and has been honing his skills and taking on missions for several gangsters and such. Killing, assassinating, and going out of his way to hunt down the Lin Kuei. Several more of them falling. Now, the police and such are dumbfounded by this. Other ones like Aizawa, Nezu, other ones who had dealing with this. Even Gran Torino is still has become active because of the killings that he's heard. And he's primarily they're of the Lin Kuei, and that it is brutal. Strung up, heads gone, and just the message vengeance written on every single scene. Vengeance, every place that they look is where. And it's not just at random. These ones are very specific. Some of them are high ranking. Some of them are usually high ranking and powerful ones. Not just at random. Deku has been honing his skills with his fire quirk, increasing the heat to it to extreme levels that can melt bone. That is how powerful he is. And as he continues forward, he's had run-ins with others as well. He's had run-ins with Kano. He has, like I said, run-ins with Kano, and he's done a few odd jobs for Shizaki, or Overhaul. He has been on a warpath, just cleaving up any Lin Kuei that comes in his way. Now we cut back to him as he's just waiting on a rooftop, looking out over the city. He's more or less an anti-hero. He does not have a hero license. As he goes down the villages, the buildings and such in one of the cities, he sees a woman being mugged and such. As Deku drops down and walks over to the men, as the people, as he teleports right next to the other one, smashing this guy's face into the brick wall, as he then cuts off the other dude's hand, telling the woman to run, as he then steps on the man's head, cracking it. Deku's rage is almost drowning. Anyone in his presence, when he's full of rage, can just feel this suffocating feeling whenever they're near him. That's when he's fighting and angry. As they go on to the others, Momo and her family at this point have been able to but have been cleared to go back to their lives. Momo has been doing homeschooling from back on. So they're 17 now. Momo and them, Mr. Yarozu wanting to hire Shirarayu again to protect Momo just in case. Because he knows that the Black Dragons are notorious for never leaving a job unfinished. They were attacked several times during their sort of hiding and such. So with that being said, he tries to reach out again, only to learn that all the Shirarayu are just gone. That no one has been able to get in contact with all except one take going by the name of Scorpion. And that he doesn't talk to them, he just gets the details, grabs money, and goes. Now, during those years, Deku, for that first half of the year, was just wandering from city to city, beating up thugs and such whenever he, found it necessary to grab money. One day, he saves a nice little old lady who at her work is known as Recovery Girl. Well, yeah, her name is Recovery Girl. He going on to say, I hope you're alright, ma'am. She's like, oh, I'm fine. It's just these little youngsters try to jump me. Could you imagine that they attack a poor old lady? It's like, they're cowards. Well, she's like, if you wouldn't mind, I would like you to help me get home. It's getting late, you know. He's like, I understand. So, as they're walking, she goes on to talk to him, saying that she's very grateful to him and that she has a bit of money to, like, pay him for that. It's like, it is not necessary. She's like, take it. As he takes it, she asks, so, are you new in town? He's like, yes, I am very recent. I was gonna look for a place to stay, like, earlier, but then I had to help you. As he goes on to say, well, if you need a place to stay, just I do, like, own several apartment complex that several people stay at. It's like, do you mean it? Oh, then take this back. She's like, nah, first night's free. If you like the place, you can pay for a little while longer. As he then gets the keys and heads up, he's like, thank you, Miss Recovery Girl. I don't know her actual name. As she goes up and just throws his stuff onto the thing. He has his special armor, his swords, and his first set of armor. As he then just lives there for the next 6 months, training himself every night by going out and fighting villains, as well as having a job, which is, just imagine, like, Deku, this like very buff kid, just having jobs. He's just like a game store. He's like, oh, how may I help you? As he's just towering, he's just like as tall as everyone and as buff as like 6 bodybuilders. But as he does do jobs, he does like construction work and such. He does construction work, food serving, being a waiter, some other stuff, and other stuff, while going to the streets at night to take down and kick down villains. As one night when he's hobbling home from a pretty bad fight with several gangsters trying to mug several young women that were pretty tough, considering, as Deku had rushed down there and just swiftly, but very swiftly, just punched them all in their faces and knocked them out. Him telling the women to like call the police and that he'll deal with them as he ties them up. As the police come here, they're like, we heard, yeah, we don't know his name. Like, I don't know him as a hero, but he helped us pretty good. As they're all, as a body, all the guys' bodies are just tied together, sort of like Spider-Man, but they're not hanging up. As that is done, Deku like hobbles home because he got stabbed quite a bit. So as he's hobbling home, Recovery Girl takes notice that he isn't home, because this late night she's like looking over some forms and such of news, like the swath of new students are coming to UA that year. As he's like going up, she's like, oh, Deku, are you here? As she just looks over him. He's still using the name Hanzo Hisashi. As she just looks over him like, what did you do to yourself? Get over here. As he's like, I'm fine. He's like, no, you're not. Go sit down. As he I'm fine. She's like, I'm the nurse here. Listen to me, and I can kick you off if I want to. He's like, and he has done several other things. Like, he's helped with maintenance and such. He's had to learn quite a lot to just keep his head above the water when it comes to paying. So as he's just sitting down, she's patching him up. She's saying that what happened, he's just like, a group of gangsters were bothering some women and I went to help. It's like, oh, you gotta stop doing that. Leave it to the pros. There were no pros around. Listen, kid, I know you like helping people, but if you really want to help people, get a hero license. He's like, no. Really? Why not? Because as he has never really told her about what happened. Is this about the thing that keeps on bothering you and that wakes you up at night? Because he has nightmares of the burning village just having his family just out of reach, and when he finally goes to grab one of their hands, they're gone. He just instantly flashes back to seeing his father get torn in half. And him being thrown off the river. I mean, not into the river. Him remembering this, she's like, so it does. Listen, I ain't gonna do anything, because as far as I can tell, you aren't doing anything bad, and you aren't using your quirk. It's not illegal to, help people, it's just illegal to use your quirk without a license. Which is a thing, I'm pretty sure. So, as he continues forward and such, after being patched up, she's like, just take it easy. And don't use your quirk when you're doing your work. It's like, understood. Now you want me to think, wouldn't she be more of an advocate for, him getting his license and such? He doesn't need a license to do hero work, he can still help people. Because if someone was stabbed, you can't really just let me help you, you don't have a license. As the guy's, clutching his stomach from being stabbed 16 times. It's like, wait for a hero to show up so they can give me medical attention. He's like, you're gonna die, fine doing it at your own risk. He helps him, and he's like, freeze there. Why? I didn't stab him. No, you helped him. Now on the ground, they're back. It's just stupid. Deku then goes on to do his hero work. Well, vigilante work. And to get back to where I was saying, Momo and them just have no idea what to do. So, they have no choice but to turn to the Lin Kuei. Smoke being sent to go protect Momo. With that being said, Smoke and her don't really hit it off. Momo doesn't trust Lin Kuei because Deku taught her a little bit about their history, that the Lin Kuei and the Shirai Ryu don't really mix. So she doesn't trust them either, by what Deku has told her. But as that's being said, Smoke does, more or less what a ninja would do, is stay in the shadows and make sure no one tries to attack her. He doesn't even go to her school. Tundra at this point has become a very skilled warrior. Some say even more so than his brother. Sector has become more... He's become more... Well, he has accepted his whole augmentation and is trying to find best ways to utilize it. With him realizing that he has rocket launcher grenades, bombs, and he just has all that carrying around with him. Plus with his tougher metal, like endoskeleton and such, he can do it much better. Him coming to realize this and accepting it. With Sub-Zero having to get his eyes replaced, similar to how Sector's had to get his replaced. Cyrax is doing relatively well. He taking more or less on a more centralized role in training newer Lin Kuei and such, and not to go after the Shirai Ryu, and to follow their principles more clearly. He's trying to hammer it into them. Chandra just wondering if Deku ever lived. Sort of asking his brother how did he lose his sight. When his brother becomes agitated and then throws a punch, he's like, I want to know who did it to you, because you're the best warrior in the clan. Or were, at the very least. It's like, I am the best warrior. Fine. Who did it? Bonfire. Manages to blind you. He was 16 years old. Sub-Zero saying, shut up. He thinking that Deku is dead, But this is still at like the going back to like the 6 months that was between Deku and how Deku is today, or in the present. This is what he's thinking, just growing more and more hatred. And now being realized that his brother is becoming more skilled than him. So he's getting the implants and training himself even harder than before. Trying to like not be outshone by his little brother. Sector coming to be more thinking that all the Lin Kuei should have these enhancements. Trying to convince Cyrax and several other higher ups to do it. Even like Sector's father, which I believe is the Grand Master, may agree with this. I'm trying to remember if his father was a Grand Master or not. I remember looking up the lore a little while ago, so his father doing this with a small portion of volunteers, like cyberizing, turning them all into cyborgs. Or if their efficiency increased a lot, like they're much tougher, much more deadly. Several of them thinking that they wouldn't be the Lin Kuei if they turned themselves into robots. Some of the other ones arguing that they aren't robots, we are cyborg, and we're even more enhanced than before. The arguing just continued before, with another rift forming. Between Sector's cyberized Lin Kuei versus Cyrax and his human, fleshy Lin Kuei. That's the sort of divide. And the Grand Master can't really force it onto the Cyrax's side, because he's more aligned with Sector's. He realizes if he tries to force it, Cyrax can leave, and several others would follow him. Sub-Zero also disagreeing with this, saying that they are Lin Kuei, not some cyberized warriors, as he walks out of the room, several others following him. Now we cut back to Deku. Deku, again, is on his night to, patrolling the city, dealing with low common scum and such. Doing a few odd jobs and such of murder, assassination and such. And this is helping the city. But this has drawn the attention to our favorite night-dwelling hero, Mr. Eraserhead, as he's looking over the rooftops and such and sees Deku. Using his scarf, he sort of swings over to Deku, sort of trying to sneak up on him, as Deku's walking into a more, not busy part of town, so that way people don't notice their fight. As he stands there, at the edge of the building, Eraserhead, I presume, or not Eraserhead, but I know you are there, show yourself. As Deku scores up, with Aizawa saying, You can sense I was here? Please, it sounds like a toddler running around. Sounds like a toddler running around. It's like, you're under arrest. For what? For using your quirk without a license. He's like, I haven't used my work. Vigilante work, though, is still illegal. It's like, I have no time to waste with you. As he tries walking away, Aizawa rushing forward trying to use his capture scarf. But since Deku is also known for his rope spear, he counters by using his rope around his spear to pull Aizawa forward and punch him a few times and clocking him in the face, kicking Aizawa back several feet, as Aizawa stands up, wiping blood off his face. Alright, you're coming with me, as he activates his quirk to prevent Deku from using his quirk, like I said. So, Deku just goes hand-to-hand combat. Aizawa is pretty strong and is no slouch. Him using his capture scarf to throw Deku around. Deku using his rope spear and such to even the odds, going hand-to-hand combat more or less. As Aizawa has to blink for a split second, Deku notices that and teleports right behind Aizawa, grabbing him and suplexing him right into the ground. as he rushes forward, kicking Aizawa in the nose, punching him several times. And as they're about to continue fighting, they hear a woman scream. As Deku looks over, and they just see a group of guys just surrounding this woman known as, and this is Momo. Deku, not Momo, but Uraraka. Uraraka is telling them to leave her alone. Some of them are saying, "Oh, what's the matter?" Being all sort of trying to be more like gangsters and gangs. So as Deku notices this, as Aizawa's on the ground, Deku teleports away. As Aizawa sees this, he sees what's happening, as he rushes off to help Uraraka. As Aizawa catches up pretty quickly, as he's like, "What are you doing? Helping the girl?" As he rushes over there, he teleports very quickly and grabs Uraraka, teleporting her with him, as he teleports up to the building and tells Aizawa to stay here. As he drops down to the building, some of the gangsters are looking at him. He's like, "It's Scorpion! Guys, we gotta back off, now. As they're some of them, what's it with the get up, ninja? As he rushes over with a fire punch, cracking their face open. Aizawa, seeing how efficient Deku is at fighting, and cutting down several of these soldiers, and cutting off a few fingers and a few hands. When some of them try to use their quirks, summoning metal, like Magneto, Deku, not Magneto, but a form of telekinesis, throwing several things of trash at him. And Aaron Black uses his pistols he's like, well, I'll be. It looks like it's Scorpion here. It's Aaron Black. As Deku readies up. "Oh, you know me, partner?" "I sure as hell don't know you," as he spins his pistol and slaps it closed. "Let's see how you do this." As he takes a stance, him being one of the only ones left around. As it's 3, 2, 1, fight. And that will be the end of that. I hope y'all have enjoyed this, and a cliffhanger. I'm sorry for all you.